class. It's very, very interesting to have all of us in this session. How have you been, Francis? Precious, in a while. Can you please unmute and tell me how you've been? Hello.
Hello, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah, we've been good. Evening, sir. We've been good. Been all right. Nothing much.
Well done. How are you preparing so far for your examinations?
Um, Godspeed. Godspeed.
Wonderful. Wonderful. How about you, Precious? How have you been?
Good evening, Chibike. Good evening, Francis. Good evening, everyone. I'm very fine. I'm much, much better now. But still on medication. I'm happy to join again tonight. I really missed you guys. So I'm going to watching the past videos on YouTube, and I'm coping. I think before the class, before this week runs out, I will go through all of them and then submit.
Okay, that's very fine. That's very fun. I'm glad that we all are capable and able, and we are also alive and kicking. I like to use that word because it's not easy, right? It's not easy to be alive and kicking. Yes, because health is wealth, according to what it is being said. Health is wealth. So anyone that is alive should always thank God for the good health that has been given to him. And I'm happy that we are all back and ready. I wonder why the other lady, is it a lady or a guy? Let me check now. I think that should be, hold on, is that Obia Korego? What's that? That should be Obia Korego. Well, we have to reach out to her personally and see, understand how she's doing, right? All right. So today's class is nothing short of amazing because it is day number 13 of 16. I don't know why making the countdown is always enjoyable for me. It might not be for you, but it is for me because it shows that the project you started has finally taken forward into something very, very amazing. Now, if it doesn't sound to be so, or it doesn't work that way, then there's a problem, right? Imagine we started this project and we couldn't finish it. That would become a very, very odd thing to have in place. But because we have been very much good with what we are doing and we are following serially the things that need to be done, please, we are all good to go. We are all good to go. So in this regard, we are going to kick off from where we stopped last time. We are in Advanced Excel Part 1. Advanced Excel Part 1. Right? So far, we have used conditional formatting, which is an advanced Excel tool to help us point out and fish out and also notice trends and patterns in our data sets. We have been working very well in order to make sure that we become wonderful intermediate data analysts in Excel. Remember, the goal is not to just teach you to end at beginner level. No, you are to be a good intermediate data analyst using Microsoft Excel. And this part of the advanced Excel part 1, we are going to be looking into sorting, filtering, and data validation and text to column, right? Sorting, filtering, data validation, text to column. This is something you normally do every now and then, because as analysts, you find out that you must sort, you must filter. Now, what is the proper way to sort a data? What's the proper way to filter a data? We are going to find that out today. Now, we have a data set which we are already working with. That is the employee record. Employee record is under the customer order data, which has served as our go-to data for this cohort, for this analysis. We have noticed that there is nothing we cannot do with just little amount of data that we have at our disposal. Just little amount of data we have, we can do so many things with it. And in these processes, we've seen how we can harness all the entire things that everyone we might know before now. We think the person is a guru. But now we have known all those things, and that is because we are registered in this particular cohort. Now, how do a data analyst filter and how do a data analyst sort? Well, let me remove the filter from this particular data set. We have a range of data from columns A1 to columns G23, which comprises of the employee name down to the 15% bonus of those employees. Now, we notice here and again that these employees have different positions, have different employee ID, have different employee name, and also have different zip codes. But some of them might have the same salary and the same bonuses. So let us say you want to filter out according to some conditions. Remember the last time we did conditional formatting, we said that you can still use conditional formatting to fish out duplicates in column wise, right? Column wise alone. It is not a good practice to use conditional formatting to look out for duplicates in the entire data, because what you call duplicate is row wise, not column wise. But when you are familiar or peculiarly looking out for duplicates in columns, that is where conditional formatting becomes handy, right? And we show us how that can be done. Now let's see how we can easily filter out our data. To filter our data, it is quite one of the easiest things to do. And the filtering starts by adding the filter to our data set. Now we might go to the Home tab under the Editing Control ribbon, and we choose the Sort and Filter just over here. When we choose the filter over here, you see that it adds the filter for us. Easy peasy, right? But when we don't want to use this method, we can still go to the data pane and choose the Sort and Filter from the data ribbon control. So we click on it, it still adds the same thing. Remember, that's something I said initially. If you remember, when we are starting out in week 1, we said that the Home tab is a go-to tab for everything we might need in other tabs, right? That's why it's called the Home tab. So if you go to the Home tab under the editing, you will see also the Sort and Filter here, and even the custom sort as the case may be. If you also go to the data pane, you also see it as the case may be. So this is the first 2 methods to add the filter on our data set. The next method is to use the shortcut key, which you are seeing clearly on my screen, Ctrl-Shift-L. So I prefer using this a lot. Ctrl-Shift-L helps to turn on the filtering for any selected cell. So I already have selected the top row, right? Whether I select it or not, it will still apply filter for me. But I can easily apply filter for any row of any column of choice without using that particular method. Now, what do I mean? When we are working on these data sets over here, when we are dealing with conditional formatting, you notice that I can easily apply filtering in this particular column, right? Have you seen it? Now, I can remove it as well. I'm using the shortcut key Ctrl-Shift-L. I can also apply it here, right? Because I have done what? Highlighted the column of choice. The same thing for this one as well. Let's say I'm working with, I just want to add filter to this one. I can just enter it. So once I've selected a particular column, I can add the filter of choice I wish to add to it, right? So these are the ways you can add filter to your data set. And we have also seen how we can actually freeze a particular data pane when we are working with the customer order, dealing with the functions of date and time, logical functions, text, lookup and referencing, math, and some statistical functions. We saw that we can actually use the freeze button to freeze a particular part in our data set in order to get a clearer view of what you are working on. And that is very amazing because, yes, that makes you an analyst. Imagine scrolling to a data set of 1,000 rows, 2,000 rows, 10,000 rows, 60,000 rows of data. And you are seeing yourself encountering difficulties whenever you want to scroll up to find out the column name, because obviously you're not going to bear the column names every now and then. So you must have to freeze the columns in order to get that handy. Now, for those of us who might still find it difficult to do so, for you to freeze, it is quite easy. You must make sure that your active cursor or your active cell is the cell before the cell you want to freeze, or it is after the column you want to freeze. Now look at what I mean. You want to freeze the column, the top row. It is easier to go to the View tab and choose the freeze panes and then click on freeze top row. It's easy to do that, right? The top row is being freezed for you, easy peasy. It's also easy for you to freeze the first column the same way too. You see freeze first column. So it's easy for you to freeze first column, which is easy peasy. But in a situation whereby you are not looking at in freezing the top row and freezing the first column, what do we do? This is where you utilize your ability as a data analyst to notice where you want to start solving the problem, right? So in this situation now, let's say you want to freeze just the employee name straight to the salary, and so that the bonus will just be hidden temporarily when you are scrolling through. What do? We keep our cursor in the cell or in the row after the row we want to freeze, and also on the column after the column we want to freeze. So we want to freeze columns A to F, hence our active cursor should be on column G, right? Because we want to freeze from column A to F. And when that happens, we are going to go to the View tab under the Freeze Panes. We click on Freeze Panes. Now, this is based on current selection, right? So let's say we click on Freeze Panes. Notice what happens here. It will automatically happen to be what we want it to be. So you see, it's just what we want it to be because we are freezing the pane based on selection. And you have selected the cell after row 1, which is on row 2, and you want to freeze just column A to column F. Hence, your active cell or selected cell should be column G, which is a column that comes after the other columns you want to freeze. And this is how you freeze in Excel and make it a very much handy situation. Now, let's come back to the sorting and filtering. On the Data tab, let's add our filter. And now we want to sort this. This is also what happens whenever you are performing some analytical processes or when you're analyzing your data. That's performing data analysis, all right? Now, what do we want to sort with? How do we sort? So you can't just come over to salary and sort smallest to largest just by color. No, you can't just do that, right? You can't do it because, yes, it's one of the basic ways to sort. data set, but you can't just do it because you are an analyst. So your sorting should be based on a particular objective. You want to see something. What do you want to see? What's the temporary thing you want to find out? That is what sorting helps you to do. All right. Sorting helps you to arrange it alphabetical order. And you notice that data set already is being arranged alphabetical order from A to B. And in the B's or in the A's, the second letter is always the first amongst every other letter. So obviously our data set, according to name, employee name, is exactly what it's supposed to be. But let's say we want to do customized field sorting. Maybe we want to sort position based on salary, right? How do we do that? So first, let us sort ascending order to confirm that this particular column name is in ascending order. We click on the drop-down filter here, or we click on these sort icons here. So some persons are most preferably love to choose this part where they click on the filter drop-down arrow and choose sort A to Z or sort Z to A, right? That's a choice. So when you say sort Z to A, you mean you're sorting it in what? Alphabetical order, according to location of it. You can still clear it off. Obviously, we've seen that there's no need to sort that A to Z, right? So we can come over to the data pane over here and clear it off, and it's out. Okay, so that's how we can clear the sorting. Let's apply it again. Now let's say we sort Z to A, for instance. So we click on Z to A. You see how it is now. It has sorted it. Changing the sorting also changes what happens in the data set. Let us just clear the sorting from here. And let us return back to where we were before. Fine. Now you notice that production technician 1 and senior DBA are the first two cells that come on column C. Now let's try sorting again to see what happens when we're sorting Z to A. So again, I click on this and I sort Z to A. Notice again that it has removed what was here before because it sorted just employee name according to descending order. Now, the sorting we have applied here affected every other columns we have in reference to it. That is very amazing. That's direct referencing, just like we used to do it with other functions and formula, direct referencing. But however, what if I want to sort this salary not determined by the employee name, that will affect everything in this particular column? How do I do that? How do I get that to be achieved? That's why the advanced comes in play. Now you see advanced here, right? That's why it comes in play. But most times myself, I don't always like to go with this particular part of the advanced. Now, what do? I use the original filter selection parts. Now, what do I mean by that? Let me clear this sorting and come back to where we were before and come back to the filtering. And the filtering will help me to filter accurately just the way I want it to be. Now, let me say I want to filter. Now, I'm done with sorting because obviously sorting is all about ascending order or descending order. But now we want to filter because the both of them goes together, right? Sort and filter. Okay, so we click on the test filters and you see we have what is called a custom filter. But before that, let us just quickly go down to these sorts over here. So let me come over to this column A. I want to sort column A. I will highlight entire column A and I click on this sort here. Or I go to the home tab, go to the editing. Under the sort and filter, you see custom sort. So that's also what we see in the data tab over here. So here I want to customize my sorting because I just want to sort it irrespective of the fact that we don't want it to affect the other remaining columns. In this regard, I'm going to click on sort and it says expand selection to continue. So I'm going to expand the selection to continue and let me start sorting. Now, what do I want to sort? What do I want to sort? This is just like when we are trying to run some functions and formulas in Excel. If you remember the moment we went to the insert function button, that is this function over here. And when we clicked on this function over here, we had this come out, right? So let's say we choose day, for instance. We have something like this, the argument box. So this is what it looks like when we are also doing this particular function. So these are other ways we can use the function argument, like I showed us as well. So here, something happens to the sorting and filtering. So I click on the sort over here, and there I need to start sorting. Now I have different buttons. I have add level, delete level, copy level, and options. So other cases is my choice to do. Now let's come to the sort on an order. All right, so sort by what? What are we sorting by? You remember when we talked about conditions? Most times as analysts, or whenever you're performing analysis on a data set, we always are specific. All right. So what are you sorting by? And that is as regarding column wise. So you click on the drop down arrow here and we say, okay, we want to sort by employee name. Now, where do you want to sort it on? Because we don't want it to affect the entire data set. So, okay, let's sort it on maybe the cell values, maybe the cell color, maybe the font color, maybe the conditional formatting icon. Because obviously we have conditional formatting on this data. As you can see here, these the dark border red lines are conditional formatting from the previous class, right? So we say, okay, let's just go with cell values. Okay, and we say, okay, how do you want to sort? What's the order of sorting? Can say, okay, A to Z or Z to A, but we don't want that. Maybe we want to do custom list, right? As the case may be. So this custom list, what do we want to add in the custom list? Maybe you want to sort it according to the names, or you want to sort it according to salaries that are higher or lower. But you're looking at employee names. So let's say you're sorting according to alphabetical order. So there's no need to enter custom list. So custom list always happens when it's a date data. You're going to see how that plays a role when you go back to the orders data. Because I can see here, you see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? Because most times, if you're trying to use Excel for data analysis, you notice that the dates always changes because Excel understands alphabetical order. So the date always changes from what's supposed to be. But when you use a custom cell list, it will help you to customize your dates to a particular part of ordering. So let's come back to cancel and then order A to Z, right? So it is only on cell value. And again, we want to add another level. Now, we want to sort by employee name on the sales value, order it A to Z. Then by what? We want to do by salary or by position. So let's start with by position. So let's start with by position, right? So we want to sort employee name by position, and we are focusing on the same ordering of A to Z. I want to see add another level. We click on add level then. Okay, we have sorted by employee name and position, but we want to see as regarding salary. Salary. So I click on them by what? Salary. I will say, okay, not smallest to largest, but largest to smallest. But if I'm not seeing the option I want here, I can just go to custom list and also enter the particular list I feel like is the best. Maybe from, let's say, new listener might be from 10,000. 10,000. So I'm not going to put a comma there because the comma will separate everything. So from 10,000, comma, and I will say 15,000, comma, and I will say 20,000, comma, and I will say 25,000. And I'll add it to the list 10, 15, 20, 25. Add it to the list and click on OK. So this is what I want to order it by, right? So I'm sorting employee name by position or in the order of ascending order A to Z. But then the salary that it will affect this will be as regarding 10,000 down to 25,000. So this is what a certain aspects, an advanced Excel use of sorting, which a lot of persons do not know, but you know it today. So when I click on OK, now it has sorted it for us according to what we have done. How do we know that? When you look at the employee name, you see that there's an arrow over here that has sorted it for us. And you see another arrow over here that sorted it for us as well, and over here as well. So there's a sorting, smallest to largest. If you click here to A to Z, and click here to A to Z. So we've sorted this salary employee name by position and then by salary, right? That is quite an amazing one. We can reapply it or clear the filter. So let's clear the filter now and come back to the sorting again. And this time around, we want to sort the employee name by salary alone. So employee name by salary is just the way we do in the if statement or if functions. Yes, or logical functions as the case may be. So let's go by employee name. So column sort by employee name, and sort on cell values, definitely the values of the cells, order by ascending order, then by what? Salary. Then by salary, we are going with smallest to largest, and click OK. Now, say our cells is case sensitive, but we don't need that, right? If you click on these options here, says case sensitive, sort top to bottom, sort left to right. So we are leaving it as the default mode it is, unless your objective requires you to do so. So we click on OK and see what sorting it has done for us. So you notice here that the sorting did not apply to this. Why? Because the application of the sorting function is not. Let's try it again and see what happens. So let's not conclude yet. So we're sorting the employee name by salary, largest to smallest, A to Z. Okay, right here. And we click OK. Okay, I think that should settle it. Okay, let's go. Fine. Now we have this. So we see that the sorting option here sorted here A to Z, and here it sorted its largest to smallest. So this is what it does. It might not actually look effective here because all the names are actually looking like orderly, in the sense that it starts with A, B, and the rest of them. Salary the same way too, and the rest of them. But you notice that here, the sorting did not affect column B, C, D, E, and G. It only affected F and A. So in the same way, you want to sort data sets in a particular number requirement, not for you to affect everything you have in your data, you use the advanced feature of the sort. Now, something that nobody can actually detect what really happened here because of what? Because of the custom fault sorting we did. Now, let us try one more time to sort according to position. I think position will be the best fit for this because you notice that we have S, P, S, D, right? Or something like that. So let's try sorting by position. So we click on the sort again, and then we want to sort column by position, ordering it A to Z. Let's see what happens first. Are you seeing what happens here now? We have this as what happens here. It has sorted it in alphabetical order A to Z. I will say that it has rearranged some things we have not seen before. Now this senior DBA is now down, software engineer is also down, and everything data is now up, followed by production. Amazing, right? So let's try going back to sorting again. And let's say in that particular position, we want to add another level. Maybe let's sort position by salary that they are receiving. So let's leave that smallest to largest and see what happens there. Initially, we have 92,000 coming first, then followed by 110. So let's see what happens when you click on OK. I see here now, it has sorted it smallest to largest, showing that this data analyst is earning 92,000, followed by this 110,000, and the rest are all small, and then we have this. Now, this means that the first column of choice affects the second. So we had this before now. Let me undo and show us what we have before now. Let me quickly undo. Fine. So let's come back to the sorting again. Let's sort position. Let's sort position. And we want to sort it by what? They add the level. Let's just sort position normally. Let me delete this level first. Delete this level. So let's sort A to Z first. We have this, right? Awesome. Now let's notice that the numbers we have here is 92,000, 110,000, 62,000, 50,000. So let's try adding a clause, an if to it. So go over to sort again and add a level. And so we want to sort it by salary. So we want us to take notice of the first 4 items in the salary column. 92,000, 110,000, 62,000, 50,000. And we are sorting smallest to largest, but let's sort largest to smallest and see what happens there. So you click OK. You see what happens here now? This has changed. It wasn't like this. It wasn't 52 before, right? So we still maintain 92, 110, then 64 now came up. Now, what does this mean? It means that Excel has sorted column C in alphabetical order, A to Z. And it is using that sorting algorithm to come to column F to sort it as per smallest to largest or largest to smallest, right? So here we have sorting by what? Sort largest to smallest. Now, what does it mean? Even though we have 110,000 as largest, and we also have 104,000 following it, for the fact that the accompany relationship we have with the column position, it is not in alphabetical order, then this data analysis and data administration will still be on the top list. But this other area, that is from row 4, will change. They will all change. Reason because now we have production technician 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And it will not actually be a bad thing to sort this same position in alphabetical order regarding salary. So you see how you're using the knowledge we have in if statement, nor, or, and to apply it in sorting. So that's why most times if you see an analyst handle data, it is different from when a non-analyst handles data. It's always peculiarly unique. Let me use that word, even though it's tautology. It's always peculiarly unique. So this is how you can advance your sorting feature. Don't just sort like every other person. Sort as a data analyst, someone who understood the game of the day. All right. So if you are sorting, maybe you are being asked, hey, Mr. XYZ wants to sort the name of employees according to salary, so that we know that even if you sort name of employee in alphabetical order, salary will come as regarding smallest to largest or largest to smallest, or any other pattern of sorting you wish to have for the digits in the salary column. In that regard, now it will not say, okay, Excel will notice, or any other spreadsheet, be it Google Sheet, will say, okay, this analyst is looking for me to arrange or order the employee name in alphabetical order first. It will do that first. Then secondly, he also wants me to, while I'm ordering this in alphabetical order, he wants me to make sure that the salary figures are exactly the same with the sorting I have done in alphabetical order on the other column. That is just the logic. And Excel does it for you. Now, how about filtering? How about filtering? Like we said, if time permits, we will go to data validation, but if it doesn't permit, we do about that tomorrow. How about filtering? How do we use advanced filtering features in Excel? A lot of persons will just say, okay, I want to filter out positions in this company. So we just come over here and say, okay, let me just filter out for, just start clicking, and say, okay, I just want these people to be here. And he clicks OK. And you see that it has filtered it out for you. And what is filtering? Temporarily hiding some values in your data sets to see the most important ones you need. And that is what we just did here. we have temporarily hidden every other cell and every other row, and we are now seeing just the rows we want to see, which is the 2 rows out of 23 rows. So we go back to our sorting again and clear, filter and clear from here. As a data analyst, how do you filter? Now, easy peasy, easiest way, when you click on the filter drop down, you don't need to start on checking the boxes of the ones you have already here in existence. All you need to do is to unselect all, right? Once you click on that select all, it unchecks everything, and you just check the one you want, software engineer and senior DBA. Then you click OK. That is how best to sort as an analyst, not to be unchecking them. Now imagine the reality that will fall on you when you start unchecking them. For instance, you come to employee name over here, and you have something like this. Now imagine you want to start unchecking all of them one after the other in order to leave the ones you want checked. It will be a big time work. So the easiest way to do that as an analyst is to uncheck all of them by clicking on the select all, and then just scroll to where you want to leave at your beck and call and hit on it, turn it, turn it, send it, and you are good to go. Then you click OK. It will temporarily hide it for you. Check it out. No much hassle. But in a situation whereby you need to customize your filtering, you need to customize it in a way whereby every other person might want to know what happens there, and you want to also filter it in a way whereby it gives you what you want. Now, what do you do? First of all, let's clear this filtering. So I can click on this journal arrow just beside me here, and I see clear filter from employee. If it was sorting, you need to go over to the data tab over here, right, and click on clear. Okay, that's the only way you can click a sorted data set unless you undo. All right, unless you undo. But this clearing doesn't mean that the sorting you did has been annulled. No, it means that the sorting is no longer existing in that particular column of choice. So if you click on clear here for sorts, it doesn't affect the way your data has been rearranged unless you Control Z to get it back to where it is, right? The clear only removes the sort feature on that column. So when you click on clear for sort, that's what it does. When you click on clear for filter, it is quite different. Now, notice that I click on clear now, everything I temporarily hide came back again for me. That's how beautiful that part of clear is when it comes to filtering. I click on this journal arrow once again, and let's say I maybe check just Anderson Carroll and Anderson Linda and Angela Colby. Then I click OK. It filtered it for me. And I want to uncheck it. I don't want to start going to the data tab. All I need to do is to come to the employee name over here. And you see this button that says clear filter from employee name, right? So when I click on clear filter from employee name, everything disappears and I have all data sets at my beck and call. But sometimes too, you might be asked or maybe tasked, depending on your project base, to filter according to some certain customizations. Now, what do I mean? Let's say, for instance, I want to filter some text that contains Anderson, or some text that contains Hector, or some text that contains Sarah. How do I do that? Now come to the column A once again, which is the employee name. I go to the filter option and I see the button that says test filters. Test filters. Now in test filters, we have about 6 options by default, which is equals, does not equal, begins with, ends with, contains or does not contain. Now I say, okay, I want to get the details that is actually Sarah. If I say equals Sarah, it will be hard for me to find from Excel because there's nobody that's answering a single name here. Everybody else is answering or is bearing double names. That's first name and last name, and also a bit of their middle name. So in my regards, I would prefer to use what? Test that contains. Test that contains. Now what it means that I'll come over to these options and I'll choose test that contains. contains, right? This contains the main themes. I click on contains now, and this auto filter custom button, that the custom dialog box comes out for me. Now we say, okay, you want to say show row where employee name contains, right? So what does it contain? We type the word we want to get. So contains maybe Sarah, or contains RAH, or contains hedge, or contains R, or contains A, or contains S. So if you want to even put a singular data, you can still, a singular value, sorry, you can still do that. So when I have this, I will be happy. So I don't need to do anything else. That's why I'm not going to the and or. Remember the function and or, what they do, right? The same thing they do when you use them in your data set is the same thing they do here in the custom auto filter, right? So I'm not going to touch in any of the and or. So I'm just going to click on OK. This is what happened here. It has filtered out the cell that contains Sarah. That is just what we need. So to remove the filtering, we can still come over here and click on clear filter from employee. But if you don't want to clear stuff from you want to still continue your filtering, no problem. Come back to your text filters and say, okay, you want to filter text that does not contain. Now you say you want to filter text that does not contain cell. Notice what happens here when that is the case. Now you filtered before, right? But now you want to filter again without removing or clearing the existing filter. So click on OK. I see what happens here now. It has come back to normal, but this time around, it's filtered out cells that does not contain Sarah. So in this column employee name, we are not seeing any Sarah here. Are you seeing it? And for you to know that the column is on filtering, just the same way you know that the column is on sort, you will notice that the arrow drop down always have a sign, such as this. This sign here is for filtering. Any data set you see and you notice this sign means that it has already been filtered, right? But the other sign that we used to see when we are using that sort, let's say we apply a sort here. Let's just apply a sort for the salary. So notice what icon. I don't know whether you saw it, but let's just click on OK and let's see. Fine. Now you see an icon for sorting, and here's an icon for filtering. So we always are familiar with all these icons as data analysts. Don't say that, okay, you know some. What if tomorrow someone comes to you, or maybe you're writing one professional examination, and you're meant to mention what each of those icons represents, and you forgot. But it's the usual icon that you normally use here and there. So this is an icon, the arrow up icon, arrow down icon shows sorting, while the funnel icon shows filtering. Now we filtered the employee name that does not contain what? Sarah. Are you seeing in the tip? It says employee name does not contain Sarah. That is what we are filtering for. When we come to the sort that we did in a salary, it says showing all, right? But we sorted it according to smallest to largest, and that's what we are just seeing here. So any of the employees that contains Sarah is earning this in their salary base. All right. So you see how you have used filtering and sorting intermittently. And this is very important to understand because we see that data analysis involves a lot of data sets. And if you don't master how to sort and filter, it will be hard for you. Right? And you don't master how you can customize your filtering, you can customize your sorting as an analyst, it will be hard for you too. So let me clear all I have done here and just clear it all. I can use this Ctrl Z continuously. I can just come to this particular icon and remove clear name, clear filter from employee name. So you see everything is back to normal. We have used the filter function intermittently with the sort function. That is, you are not even sorting as a normal function. You write a sentence saying equal to this, equal to that. No. What I did now is to click on each of the buttons while understanding what they do. If you also go back to that column A again, if you notice again, we have only used just two, text that contains and text that does not contain. So I would suggest when you You get home at your own leisure. Find time to practice cells that begins with, cells that ends with, cells equals to, and does not equals to. Now, if you click on this does not equal to, it similarly will return the same value as cells that does not contain. So let's say employee name that does not equal Sarah. Let's see what it gives us. That's employee name that does not say it is Sarah only, not Akinkole Sarah, but Sarah only. Let us go and OK. Are you seeing what happens here? It really did not filter anything because there's no particular employee name that answers Sarah only. Now, in this regard, this is not applicable because you said that we are looking for employee name that contains or sorry, that equals, right? Equals, not contain, but equals. That was the clause. So let's go back there and remove the filtering. And let's try for the salary column. And let us see how we can use the filtering intermittently with itself. Just then when we use the sort to intermittently with itself, whereby you can sort by this, then by this, and then by this, and then by this. Now that reminds you of what if statement. So here we go again for the column number F or column F, we are going to be filtering. So you could go to the filter and we want to go to number filter. Now you notice that number filtering has more options than the text filter. The text filter have just 6, but number filtering have more than 6 options. You see equals, does not equals, greater than equals, right? Just the way we saw it when we are doing conditional format. So you see why we need to do conditional formatting first before we come to do the sorting and filter. In other cases, the both of them work hand in hand in a particular data you're working. So let's say you want to look out for number filters, maybe the top 10 from what we have over here. So we see just the same thing that happens in conditional formatting happens here. It brings out an auto filter dialog box that says choose your top 10. Are you showing the top 10? You said okay, because that's what you want to show, right? So you see, it's showing us the top 10, which is the same thing we have from the existing data on the conditional format. You see that the same values that comes up are the same values that happens to be here as well. So these are the top 10 items, not top 10%, but top 10 items. So this is another way you can filter in your data set. Another way again to filter is to use the custom filter. So I indulge you to check out all these other buttons of ease. They do the same thing that we did in conditional formatting when we are using that the highlight through and other rules in conditional formatting. So let's just quickly clear this filter from salary. And let us also go back to the numbers filter and choose custom filter. Now, this custom filter is also equivalent to when you do custom sorting. So click on custom filter now. You see it brings back this guy once again. So let's say we want to sort the filter out salary that are not equals to, but let's say that is greater than 9,000. So 9,000, right? And you want to also filter by that same 9,000, but maybe you want, okay, it is greater than 9,000 and it is equal to 20,000, something like that, right? So you can use the option equals, okay, let's see, equals 104,000. Let's just be tentative and let's click OK. Now notice the value that are in the first 3 cells. So we have 62,506, we have 104, we have 64, we also have 9, 15, and 9. So let's see what it gives us in return. We are sorting, sorry, what am I saying sorting? We are filtering customizably as an analyst the salary, which is greater than 9,000 and equals to 104,000. Let's go, okay? Do you notice what happens here? It's all gone because of what? We don't have any particular data value in this particular column of column F that has or bears that part of instruction. Let us see what I mean. Now we say salary. Let's go to number filters. We go to custom filter. So we say salary that is what is greater than 9,000. So let's use the 9,000. And we say that it is equals 104,000. Now, it will not return any value because there is no such thing in our data set, right? There's no salary rule that is greater than 9,000 and equals to 104,000. It's not possible, right? For this particular initiative, it's not possible because there's no way our salary will be just what we want it to be when it comes to analyzing the data. So in this regard, instead of using equals 104,000, because when you say equals, that means you are sure that you have a cell in that column that contains 104,000. But we don't have it. So what do? We just say greater than 100,000. So here, putting ourselves out of harm's way. And when we treated about conditional statistical analysis, I will say that there is always a confidence level for everything. So this just it's playing out for you. The confidence level, sorry, not confidence, the interval of everything. Sorry, interval of everything. Now you see how it plays out for you here. Just before your screen, you are seeing that it is showing rows where salary is greater than 9,000 and is also greater than 100,000. So he is not looking at salary that is in between these options. If you check again, you notice that we also have other options, right? Does not contain, does not end with, contains, begins with, is less than or equal to, is less than, greater than or equal to, right? Those ones are the options we have, but we don't have anything like between. So let's see how we can utilize this particular option we have here. That is salary greater than 9,000 and greater than 100,000. Let's see. Fine. Are you seeing it? So this is a perfect fit. This means that Excel has gone to the salary sheet and he has seen that there are salaries that are actually above $9,000, and it's also greater than what? $100,000. So you see, this is how we have used just one single dialog box to answer the question we are looking for. So someone might meet you tomorrow and say, I want you to filter out, or I want you to help me find out the employees that has high salary like 200K or thereabout, and also the trainee that have an issue with one or two things. Now, what do you do here? You use this particular custom filter that we have just discussed. So in this session, we have seen how we can use advanced features of the sort and filter as analysts. Very, very important. When we come back on the next session, we're going to see how you can provide rules and restrictions in a sheet, in a cell, or in a workbook before we now hop into text to column, and then we now discuss about other parts of advanced Excel. So from the session today, what questions do you have, or what concerns will you want us to hear? The floor is now open for you.
There's no question, sir. There's no question from me, sir. There's no question from me, sir.
Okay, yes. Thank you very much for that response. How about you, Precious? Do you have any questions on your own end, any concerns?
Oh, No, sir, there's no question from me.
Okay, fine. So come prepared tomorrow. We are going to see how we can present our data workbook with restrictions. In Power BI, we call it row level security, and other securities assume that to take place, because in your data you must have security, right? So it is those who understand the advanced features of spreadsheets and Excel can actually provide securities for their data sheets. So you see how you can provide security for a column, for a sheet, for a workbook, and make it safe to avoid anybody tampering with it. That is very, very important. And after that, we continue with other advanced Excel Part 1 series. So thank you very much for joining the call today. Really appreciate you. And we also wish you that you please take care of yourselves, stay fit. Things can actually happen in life, but when you are fit, you'll be able to surpass all of them. So thank you very much, and do have a wonderful night's rest.